So we are continuing the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. By the summer of Srila Prabhupada's arrival at 26 Second Avenue, the first front in the great youth rebellion of the 60s had already entered the Lower East Side. Here they were free to live in simple poverty and express themselves through art, music, drugs, and sex. The talk was of spiritual searching. LSD and marijuana were the keys, opening new realms of awareness. Notions about Eastern cultures and Eastern religions were in vogue through drugs, yoga, brotherhood, or just by being free, somehow they would attain enlightenment. Everyone was supposed to keep an open mind and develop his own cosmic philosophy by direct experience and drug expanded consciousness, blended with his own electric readings. And if their lives appeared aimless, at least they had dropped out of the pointless game where the player sells his soul for material goods. In this way supports a system that is already rotten. So it was that in 1966, thousands of young people were walking the streets of the Lower East Side, not simply intoxicated or crazy, but in search of life's ultimate answers, in complete disregard of the establishment and the day to day life pursued by millions of straight Americans. That the prosperous land of America could breed so many discontented youths surprised Prabhupada. Of course, it also further proved that material well-being, the hallmark of American life, could not make people happy. Prabhupada did not see the unhappiness around him in terms of the immediate social, political, economic and cultural causes. Neither slum conditions nor youth rebellions were all important realities. These were mere symptoms of a universal unhappiness to which only cure was Krishna consciousness. He sympathized with the miseries of everyone, but he saw the universal solution. Prabhupada had not made a study of the youth movement in America before moving to the Lower East Side. He had never even made specific plans to come here amid so many young people. But in the 10 months since Calcutta, he had been moved by force of circumstances, or as he understood it, by Krishna's will. From one place to another, on the order of the spiritual master, he had come to America, and by Krishna's will, he had come to Lower East Side. His mission here was the same as it had been on the Bowery or uptown or even in India. He was fixed in the order of spiritual master and in the Vedic view, a view that was not going to be influenced by radical changes of the 1960s. Now, if it so happened that these young people, because of some change in American cultural climate, were to prove more receptive to him, then that would be welcome. And that would also be by the Krishna's will. Actually, because of the ominous influence of the Kali millennium, this was historically the worst of times for spiritual cultivation, hippie revolution or not, and Srila Prabhupada was trying to transplant Vedic culture into a more alien ground than had any previous spiritual master. So he expected to find his work extremely difficult, yet in this generally bad age, just prior to Prabhupada's arrival on the Lower East Side, tremors of dissatisfaction and the revolt against the Kali Yuga culture itself began vibrating through American society, sending waves of young people to wander the streets of New York's Lower East Side in search of something beyond the ordinary life, looking for alternatives, seeking spiritual fulfillment. These young people, broken from their stereotyped materialistic backgrounds and drawn together now on the New York's Lower East Side, were the ones who were by chance or by or choice or destiny to become the congregation for Swami's storefront offerings of kirtana and spiritual guidance. The Swami's arrival went unnoticed. The neighbors said someone knew he had taken a gift shop next to the laundry. There was a strange picture in the window now, but no one knew what makes of it. Some passerby noticed a piece of paper announcing classes in Bhagavad Gita taped to the window. A few stopped to read it, but no one knew what to make of it. They did not know the Bhagavad Gita was what Bhagavad Gita was, and few would be thought maybe a yoga bookstore or something. The Puerto Ricans in the neighborhood would look into the window at Harvey Cohen's painting and then blankly walk away. The manager of the mobile gas station next door could not care less who had moved in. It just did not make any difference. The tombstone sellers and undertakers across the street did not care, and for the drivers of the countless cars and trucks that passed by, Swamiji's place did not even exist. But there were young people around who had been intrigued with the painting, who went up to the window to read the little piece of paper. Some of them even knew about Bhagavad Gita, also the painting of Lord Chaitanya and the dancer did not seem to fit. A few thought maybe they would attend Swami Bhakti Vedanta's classes and check out the scene. July 1966, Howard Wheeler was hurrying from his apartment on Mott Street to friend's apartment on Fifth Street, a quiet place where he hoped to find some peace. He walked up Mott Street to Houston, turned right, and began to walk east across Bowery past the rushing traffic and stumbling derelicts and towards Second Avenue, Howard. After crossing Bowery, just before Second Avenue, I saw Swamiji gently strolling down the sidewalk, his head held high in the air, his hand in the bead bag. He struck me like a famous actor in a very familiar movie. He seemed ageless. He was wearing the traditional saffron-colored robes of a sannyasi and quaint white shoes with points. Coming down Houston, he looked like the genie that popped out of Aladdin's lamp. Howard, age 26, was tall, large-bodied man, long dark hair, a profuse beard, and black-framed eyeglasses. He was an instructor in English at Ohio State University and was fresh from trip to India, where he had been looking for a true guru. Prabhupada noticed Howard and they both stopped simultaneously. Howard asked the first question that popped into his mind. Are you from India? Prabhupada smiled. Oh, yes. And you? Howard, I told him no. But that I had just returned from India and was very interested in his country and the Hindu philosophy. He told me he had come from Calcutta and had been in New York almost 10 months. His eyes were as fresh as and cordial as child's, and even standing before the trucks that rode and rumbled their way down Houston Street. He emanated a cool tranquility that was unshakably established in something far beyond the great metropolis that roamed around us. Howard never made Howard never made it to his friend's place that day. He went back to his own apartment on Mott Street to Keith and Valley, his roommates, to tell them that everyone he knew about the Guru who had inexplicably appeared within their midst. Keith and Howard had been to India. Now they were involved in spiritual philosophies, and their friends used to come over and talk about enlightenment. 18-year-old Chuck Barnett was a regular visitor. I think stuff here. As we are reading it, Prabhupada was, noticing how these young people are after, unhappiness with the drugs and a lot of other things, but only the solution is the, Krishna consciousness, and at least some young people are showing some interest to look for, spiritual enlightenment or knowing about the life beyond the material life. And Prabhupada is mentioning that it's all Krishna's plan. He's changing from one place to another place. He came to US and everything happening in the, by the mercy of the Lord and Krishna's will. And it also says, right, so even though, materially people may be having more advanced and a lot of facilities and amenities, but people are not happy with the ultimate happiness is not there. People are always searching for something new, and the drugs and all being used for to get a new experience or m- you know experience the new world which is not existing. But ultimate purpose is to find a way to uh, spiritual happiness. I think that's what it's lacking, and Prabhupada is in the right place, and you see some interest from some of the young people, and I think